Hello, I'm David Ash. Within a minute of my uploading last week's podcast on YouTube, Have We Just Seen the Face of God?, I received a comment, "No, God does not exist." Because that comment represents what many people today believe, I decided that I would address the issue of the existence of God in this week's podcast. At age 4, I declared I would prove the existence of God through science, so you can see this issue is very important to me. Meeting up with my family on Easter Sunday last, I asked my son Sam if he thinks God exists. He replied, "It's crazy to say God doesn't exist. It is the life force within us and all around us." His son, my 14-year-old grandson Fenton, who doesn't believe in the God of religion but has a keen interest in quantum mechanics, said, "We need to get away from the traditional connotations of God and replace them with a more modern and credible understanding." I think Fenton spoke for his generation. If God is imagined as the cranky old control freak seated on a heavenly throne, then obviously that God doesn't exist, because that God is just a story. If, however, the word God is taken as an acronym for the generator, organizer and destroyer we witness in the life in and around us, then that God could exist and would not be a story, because, as the author of Sapiens, Yuval Noah Harari, quite rightly said in his new book 21 Lessons, life is not a story. No one really knows what life is. The presumption that life is a mere consequence of biochemical reactions going on in cells is yet another story, a story based on materialism. Materialism itself is a meaningless story because quantum physics has shown that it is material substance that does not exist. Einstein's equation E equals mc squared reveals matter to be a form of energy, and energy has no mass nor material substance. In my teens, I discovered in yogic philosophy how energy could form matter in a way that sets up a material delusion. According to the insight of enlightened yogis in ancient India, energy forms matter by spinning in whirlpools of light. Forming subatomic particles, these vortices of energy set up an illusion of material substance. The yogis call this maya, which means the illusion of forms. I went on to develop this vortex idea into a full-blown scientific theory, which I have been able to prove according to the scientific method, as detailed in my new book Awaken. In this theory I was able to explain away all the properties of material in terms of spin. Energy is no thing. Quantum physics has revealed that particles of energy are not bits of material acting. They seem to be bits of action where nothing is acting. Quantum particles of energy are not material entities. They appear to be more in the nature of abstract or imagined reality, more like thoughts than things. And progressive quantum physicists perceive the universe as a great mind rather than a great machine. Enlightened physicists have concluded that consciousness is the ground of all being. In the words of Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as a derivative of consciousness. We cannot get behind consciousness." Now, it is hard to imagine consciousness that is not alive or life that is not conscious. I believe, therefore, that there is a ubiquitous presence of life consciousness underlying quantum reality, bringing it into being. I call this the quantum potential, or QP for short. Furthermore, I believe it occurs in a subquantum non-dimensional state. I believe this principle of quantum potential was what mystics and philosophers were endeavouring to explain in terms of divinity. which then became deified as God. I imagine the quantum potential much as soil from which quantum particles arise like grass and flowers. I envisage the thoughts we know as particles of energy bubbling up from the quantum potential ground of consciousness to give rise to the manifest universe in which life emerges. Now, the value of soil is in the life that arises from it. So it is that the manifestation of life in the universe gives meaning and purpose to the great mystery of quantum potential underlying it. Expressed in the life force within and all around us, the quantum potential would be immanent and not transcendent. Thoughts are particles of intelligence, and the innate intelligence in the quantum potential is expressed in life. Life screams intelligence. In his book The Intelligent Universe, the renowned physicist and cosmologist Sir Fred Hoyle reasoned that the evolution of life is driven by intelligence. Hoyle considered it a vast unlikelihood that life could have evolved from non-living matter without intelligence. In his own words, "It is apparent that the origin of life is overwhelmingly a matter of arrangement, of ordering quite ordinary atoms into very special structures and sequences. Whereas we learn in physics that non-living processes tend to destroy order, intelligent control is particularly effective at producing order out of chaos. You might even say that intelligence shows itself most effectively in arranging things, exactly what the origin of life requires." The intelligence underlying life must be immanent in life if the quantum wave particles in light and subatomic whirlpools of light and matter are thought forms. Thoughts are particles of intelligence, so intelligence would be innate in every quantum, in every electron and proton and atom in the universe. It would be ludicrous to suggest there is no intelligence underlying evolution, and that evolution is driven only by pure blind chance, if the universe is formed of nothing but particles of intelligence. Could it not be that the life presence we experience within ourselves is the same universal life consciousness underpinning every quantum? Perhaps every quantum is alive, and the universe itself may be a living, thinking being, in which every galaxy is akin to a living cell. The galaxies we see through the Hubble telescope, in all their amazing beauty and glory, could be embodiments of the same living universal consciousness embodied in us. We may be patterned on a galactic model. The atom, the cell, the human and the galaxy could be fractals based on a similar universal pattern of a unit of organization around a controlling nucleus. In our case, the brain, and in the case of a galaxy, the central supermassive black hole. In each situation, the quantum potential consciousness and intelligence may be acting like God, generating, organizing and destroying through a governing nucleus, brain or black hole. This is why I suggested in my last podcast that the mighty black hole we have just seen in galaxy M87 could be the face of God. In that capacity, the galactic God in M87 would appear to be feeding on stars in the galaxy surrounding it. As the greatest order of density of quantum potential consciousness and intelligence in our galaxy would be the black hole at the centre of the Milky Way, that could be our local greatest order of density of quantum potential, or GODQP. The gods of olden times, such as the Elohim positioned in the ancient Hebrew Bible as God, may not be our galactic greatest order of density of quantum potential, but rather intermediaries in an information grid between us and it. Angels acting as messengers of God could be fulfilling the same intermediary role. In their own right, they may be embodiments of focused quantum potential, of universal life consciousness, in higher dimensional energy states. And through resonance, they may be influencing the evolution of life on Earth. In Awaken, I discuss this possibility in terms of a process called DNA resonance. We may not believe in the gods of antiquity or the God of the Western religions, but how can we not believe in the life consciousness that sustains us and knows, loves and serves us? How can we not long to know, love and serve the life which is expressed in divinity and in humanity, which is the source of all beings and our own being, which has no beginning and no end, which offers us universal opportunities and which is who we really are? Not in the mind, but in the real self underlying the mind, which we can come to know through meditation, or when our hearts are opened to transcend the material delusion. Materialism is dead. It is causing us to deny rather than define God in terms of quantum reality. In so doing, it is severing our connection to Source. It deadens us to who we truly are and destroys our potential. Materialism has been disproved in modern physics. Why, even when calling ourselves skeptics, do we still believe in it without question? Materialism leads to conflict and greed and eventual destruction. We are in an age of change when material ideologies are failing us. If we continue to hang on to materialistic values, we will be left behind, bewildered and lost, with nothing but enduring hopelessness. The non-materialistic approach to science, arising from the new vortex theory presented in Awaken, offers hope by reconciling mysticism and matter in a way never before possible. If in science we can embrace the possibility of superphysical realities existing beyond the physical and appreciate the potential of resonance between the planes, then we could reach to the stars and attain to the beauty which we know in our hearts awaits us, if we can but learn to love one another and treat the world we are in with due care and respect. If you would like to hear more of what I have to offer, listen to my podcasts taken from Awaken, which are available free of charge on my SoundCloud page, on YouTube and on Anchor. If you want to read the 7 books in Awaken, the hard copy is available on Amazon. Please pass my podcast links on to others. Meanwhile, stay well, and thank you for listening.